Lily Wu stared at the email announcement on her computer screen and felt her stomach tighten. The yearly company talent show was coming up again, and like always, department heads were strongly encouraging team participation. She scrolled down, hoping to find some loophole that would let her avoid the spotlight. But there it was in bold letters. All departments must have at least 3 participants. With a sigh, she glanced around the open plan office of Bright Future Technologies. Her co-workers were already buzzing about the announcement, some excited, others looking as uncomfortable as she felt. Lily had spent the last 4 years at the company carefully building her reputation as a solid, reliable financial analyst who stayed in the background. The thought of standing on a stage made her palms sweat. "So what hidden talent are you going to shock us with this year, Wu?" The voice came from behind her, making Lily jump slightly in her chair. She turned to see her department head, Ted Rivera, leaning against the wall of her cubicle with an amused smile. Ted was well-liked throughout the company, friendly but professional, with a knack for pushing his team members just enough to help them grow without breaking them. "I was thinking of showcasing my incredible talent for taking sick days right when events like this happen," Lily replied with a small smile. Ted laughed. "Nice try. But I need 3 volunteers and we only have 12 people in the department. Those aren't good odds for escaping." He paused, studying her face. "You know, in the 4 years you've been here, I don't think I've ever seen you participate in anything like this. What are you afraid of?" Lily shrugged, turning back to her computer. "Not everyone needs to be the center of attention. I'm good with spreadsheets, not spotlights." Ted didn't move from his spot. "I've always thought there was more to you than quarterly reports and budget forecasts. People with your level of focus usually have something they're passionate about." Lily felt a flicker of unease. She kept her personal life and work life completely separate, and she preferred it that way. "Sorry to disappoint, but I'm exactly as boring as I appear." Ted chuckled and straightened up. "I don't believe that for a second. But fine, keep your secrets." As he turned to leave, he added over his shoulder, "Just think about it, okay? Show us something unexpected, Wu. Who knows? Impress the executives and you might be running this place someday." Lily rolled her eyes at his retreating figure, but his words stirred something inside her that she'd been trying to ignore for years. Later that afternoon, Lily took the elevator down to the lobby. She needed fresh air and space to think without coworkers chatting about their planned performances. The company headquarters occupied a renovated historic building downtown, with a grand lobby that still maintained its early 20th century elegance. Marble columns, high ceilings, and a small seating area gave it the feeling of an old hotel rather than a tech company office. As she crossed the polished floor, something caught her eye that she'd passed 100 times before without really noticing. A beautiful grand piano tucked into a corner of the lobby. It was mostly decorative, part of the building's charm, occasionally played by hired musicians during special corporate events. Lily slowed her steps, then stopped completely, drawn to the instrument like it was calling to her. Before she knew what she was doing, she approached it, running her fingers lightly over the closed lid. "Do you play?" Lily jumped at the voice and turned to see Roy, one of the building's security guards, watching her with friendly curiosity. "I used to," she admitted, surprising herself with the confession. "A long time ago." "Feel free to give it a try," Roy said, gesturing to the piano. "Nobody's around this time of day." Lily hesitated, then shook her head. "No, I couldn't. It's been years." "Shame," Roy said with a genuine look of disappointment. "This beauty rarely gets played except during those fancy investor meetings." Lily nodded and continued toward the exit, but the image of the piano stayed with her all evening. That night in her small apartment, she found herself pulling out a worn photo album from the back of her closet. She hadn't looked at it in years. There she was at 12, sitting straight-backed at a piano, eyes focused intently on the sheet music. Another at 15, holding a trophy from a regional competition, and the last one at 18, performing on a real stage with an orchestra behind her. The girl in those photos looked different, confident, passionate, alive in a way that Lily hardly recognized anymore. She'd been on track for music school, maybe even a professional career. Then her father got sick, and the family's savings went to medical bills instead of tuition. By the time he recovered, Lily had already switched tracks. Business school, practical skills, a reliable paycheck. Music became something from her past, a dream she'd set aside for reality. Lily closed the album and put it away, but she couldn't shake the feeling that had washed over her when she saw the piano in the lobby. For the first time in years, her fingers itched to play. The next morning, she arrived at work an hour early. The lobby was empty except for Roy at the security desk, who looked up in surprise. "You're here early," he commented as she badged in. Lily hesitated, then walked over to his desk. "That piano," she said quietly. "Is it really okay if employees play it?" Roy's face brightened. "Absolutely. It's just sitting there collecting dust most days." "And if someone wanted to practice, say, before normal work hours?" Roy grinned. "I start my shift at 5:30 a.m. Building's empty then except for the cleaning crew, and they're usually done with the lobby by 6. The next morning, Lily arrived at the building at 6 a.m. sharp, her heart pounding as she waved to Roy and approached the piano. She set down her bag, adjusted the bench, and slowly lifted the lid. The keys looked both foreign and familiar, like running into an old friend after many years apart. She placed her hands on the keys, and after a moment's hesitation, began to play a simple scale. Her fingers were stiff, unpracticed, but the muscle memory was still there, buried under years of spreadsheets and financial reports. She moved through basic exercises she'd learned as a child, gradually loosening up, reconnecting with the instrument. After 20 minutes, she closed the lid gently and went upstairs to start her workday. Feeling strangely lighter, this became her new routine. Each morning she arrived early to spend time with the piano, starting with simple pieces and gradually working up to more challenging ones. Some days she only had time for 15 minutes before heading upstairs. Other days she lost track of time completely, playing until she realized she might be late for her first meeting. Roy became her only audience, sometimes watching openly, other times pretending to be busy with security monitors while sneaking glances her way. He never commented on her playing, seeming to understand instinctively that this was something private for Lily. 1 week before the talent show, Lily still hadn't signed up to perform. Her co-workers had stopped asking, assuming she'd found a way out of it as she'd hoped. But every morning she found herself drawn to that piano, playing pieces that were getting increasingly complex as her skill returned. That morning, she sat at the piano and took a deep breath. She had been working on a particular piece for the past few days, Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. It was challenging, emotional, powerful, everything she'd loved about music before she'd walked away from it. Her performance was far from perfect, but something had awakened inside her that couldn't be ignored. As the final notes faded, she heard slow clapping. Startled, Lily turned to see not just Roy but Ted standing near the security desk, an expression of complete shock on his face. That was, Ted seemed at a loss for words. "Lily, I had no idea." Lily felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough," Ted replied, walking toward her. "Why didn't you tell anyone you could play like that? And why haven't you signed up for the talent show?" Lily closed the piano lid, buying time to compose herself. "It's been years since I performed for anyone. I'm rusty. And besides, I don't think a classical piano piece is what people want at a company talent show." Ted shook his head in disbelief. "Are you kidding? What I just heard would blow everyone away." He paused, studying her face. "But this isn't about what other people want, is it?" "What do you want, Lily?" The question caught her off guard. What did she want? For years she'd focused on being practical, reliable, invisible. But these morning sessions at the piano had reminded her of something she'd almost forgotten. How it felt to pour herself into something she loved. To create beauty instead of just analyzing data. "I don't know," she admitted finally. "I'm not sure I'm ready," Ted nodded slowly. "Fair enough. But the sign-up deadline is tomorrow at noon." He turned to leave, then paused. "You know, I meant what I said before. Show them who you really are, and there's no telling how far you could go in this company." After he left, Lily sat at the piano bench for a long time. Not playing, just thinking. Roy, who had witnessed the whole exchange, finally walked over. "For what it's worth," he said quietly. "In the 3 weeks you've been playing here, I've seen you change. It's like you're waking up." He shrugged. "Seems a shame to keep that hidden." That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, thinking about the talent show, about the piano, about the girl she used to be and the woman she'd become. Shortly before midnight, she sat up in bed and reached for her phone. Before she could change her mind, she opened her email and sent a short message to the talent show coordinator. Please add me to the performance list. Lily Wu, piano. The morning after sending her email, Lily woke up with a strange mix of dread and excitement. Had she really signed up to play piano in front of the entire company? For a moment, she considered sending another email to withdraw her name, but something stopped her. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. At work, she kept to herself even more than usual. Nobody knew about her sign-up yet, and she wanted to keep it that way. The talent show coordinator had replied with a simple confirmation and a request for her to provide the name of her piece by the end of the week. She still hadn't decided if she was brave enough to attempt the Rachmaninoff, or if she should choose something simpler, less revealing. When Ted stopped by her desk that afternoon, he simply raised an eyebrow questioningly. Lily gave him a small nod and his face broke into a wide grin, but he said nothing, respecting her privacy. She was grateful for that. Her morning practice sessions took on a new intensity. Roy continued to be her silent supporter, occasionally bringing her coffee and setting it on top of the piano without interrupting. One morning, he arrived to find her staring at the keys, not playing. Stage fright? He asked, setting down her usual coffee. Lily sighed. I'm trying to decide what to play. What I've been practicing is, it's difficult, emotional, maybe too much for a company talent show. Roy leaned against the piano. What's it called? Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. It's one of the most beautiful pieces ever written, but also one of the most challenging. I used to play it before. Before what? Lily rarely talked about her past, but something about the early morning quiet and Roy's kind eyes made it easier. Before I gave up music. I was supposed to go to music school, maybe become a professional pianist. Life had other plans. Roy nodded slowly. My daughter wanted to be a dancer. Had real talent, too. Then she hurt her knee in high school. Doctor said she'd never dance professionally. I'm sorry, Lily said, meaning it, don't be. She teaches dance now to little kids. Found her own way back to what she loves. He tapped the piano lid gently. Maybe this is your way back. The conversation stayed with Lily all day. That evening, she emailed the talent show coordinator, Lily Wu, piano, Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, first movement, abridged version. As the days passed, Lily settled into a new routine. She arrived at the office by 5:45 a.m., practiced until 7:30, then went upstairs to start her regular workday. She downloaded a piano app on her phone to practice fingering during lunch breaks, and every evening she watched videos of great pianists performing the piece, studying their techniques and expressions. The talent show was 2 weeks away when a new complication arose. Lily was at her desk when a company-wide email landed in her inbox. Talent show update, special guest announcement. We're thrilled to share that our CEO, Diana Chen, will be attending this year's talent show, along with the entire executive team. Lily's stomach dropped. It was one thing to perform in front of her colleagues, but the CEO, Diana Chen, was legendary in the industry, brilliant, demanding, and known for her love of the arts. Rumors around the office suggested she had originally considered a career in music before founding Bright Future Technologies. Did you see the email? Ted appeared beside her desk, looking excited. Lily nodded weakly. Maybe this was a mistake. I'm not ready to play in front of Diana Chen. Or maybe it's perfect timing, Ted countered. This is your chance to be seen, really seen, by the people who matter in this company. As what? The financial analyst who used to play piano? Lily shook her head. I'm not sure that's the professional image I want to project. Ted sat on the edge of her desk. Can I tell you something? Before I worked here, I was a history teacher. When I decided to switch careers, everyone thought I was crazy. But I brought those teaching skills with me. How to explain complex ideas, how to keep a room engaged, how to work with different learning styles. Those things made me stand out. He gestured around the office. Everyone here is smart, Lily. But the ones who move up are the ones who bring something unique to the table. His words made sense, but they didn't calm the anxiety that had taken root in her chest. That night, for the first time in years, Lily had a dream about performing. She was on stage in a crowded hall, but when she placed her fingers on the keys, no sound came out. She woke up in a cold sweat. The next morning, she arrived at the office even earlier than usual. To her surprise, the lobby wasn't empty. A woman was sitting in one of the chairs, typing on a laptop. Lily recognized her immediately, Diana Chen herself. The CEO looked up as Lily hesitated by the entrance. "Don't mind me," Diana said with a smile. "Early bird catches the worm and all that. The office upstairs is too quiet this early." Lily nodded politely and headed for the elevator, her heart sinking. There went her practice session. But as the elevator doors were closing, Diana called out, "Were you coming to play the piano?" Lily held the door open, surprised. "How did you know?" Diana closed her laptop. "Roy mentioned there was an employee who practiced here in the mornings. Said I should hear you play sometime." She gestured to the piano. "Don't let me stop you." Lily's mouth went dry. This was exactly the kind of pressure she'd been hoping to avoid until the talent show. But Diana was looking at her expectantly, and she couldn't think of a polite way to refuse. With shaking hands, Lily set down her bag and made her way to the piano. She adjusted the bench, trying to calm her breathing. Diana remained where she was, but her full attention was now on Lily. "What are you going to play?" she asked. "I've been working on Rachmaninoff," Lily said quietly. "For the talent show." Diana's eyebrows rose slightly. "Ambitious. I look forward to it." Lily placed her hands on the keys, closed her eyes, and began to play. The first few notes were hesitant, but as she always found, the music itself carried her forward. She lost herself in the piece, forgetting momentarily about Diana's presence, about the talent show, about everything except the conversation between her fingers and the keys. When she finished the section she'd been practicing, she looked up to find Diana watching her with an unreadable expression. That was... Diana seemed to choose her words carefully. "You play with real feeling. Technical skills can be polished, but that emotional connection, that's something you either have or you don't." "Thank you," Lily said, surprised by the compliment. "How long have you worked here, Ms. Puliliwu?" "Almost 5 years now." "I'm in financial analysis," Diana nodded thoughtfully. "And yet I don't think we've ever properly met. Funny how people can work in the same building for years and remain strangers." She stood up, gathering her things. "Well, I won't keep you from your practice, but I'm certainly looking forward to your performance now." After Diana left, Lily sat frozen at the piano bench. She'd just played for the CEO, who now expected to hear her perform at the talent show. There was no backing out now. The days flew by in a blur of practice and mounting anxiety. Word had somehow gotten out that Lily had signed up to play piano, leading to curious glances and questions from coworkers she barely spoke to. She deflected their interest with vague answers, not wanting to build up expectations she might not meet. The night before the talent show, Lily stayed late at the office, waiting until everyone had gone home. She took the elevator down to the empty lobby and sat at the piano one last time. Instead of practicing, she simply placed her hands on the keys and thought about everything that had led her here. The years of training, the dreams she'd set aside, the person she'd become, and the person she might still be. "I thought I might find you here," a voice said softly. Lily turned to see Ted walking toward her, carrying his coat. "Just wanted one more practice," she explained. He shook his head. "No, you're not here to practice. You're here to decide if you're really going to go through with it tomorrow." Lily smiled weakly. "Am I that obvious?" "To me, yes." Ted sat down beside her on the bench, careful not to crowd her. "You know, when I suggested people participate in the talent show, I never expected to discover a concert pianist hiding in my department." "I'm hardly a concert pianist anymore," Lily objected. "Maybe not. But watching you these past few weeks and seeing how alive you become when you play, it's made me wonder what else I don't know about the people I work with every day." He stood up. "Whatever you decide to do tomorrow, I'm proud of you for getting this far." As he walked away, Lily called after him, "I'm going to do it." Ted turned, a smile spreading across his face. "I know you are." That night, Lily barely slept. She went over the piece in her mind, imagining her fingers hitting each key, feeling the music flow through her. By morning, a strange calm had settled over her. Whatever happened at the talent show, she had already accomplished something important. She had found a part of herself she thought was lost forever. The day of the talent show arrived with a buzz of excitement throughout the office. The event was scheduled for 6 p.m. in the company's largest conference room, which had been transformed into a makeshift performance space. Regular work was supposed to continue as normal, but Lily found it impossible to focus on spreadsheets and financial projections. Her stomach had been in knots since she woke up. She'd chosen a simple black dress for the performance, nothing flashy, just elegant enough to show she was taking this seriously. It hung now on the back of her office door, a constant reminder of what was to come. At lunchtime, her phone buzzed with a text from her mom. "Good luck tonight, honey. Wish I could be there to see you play again." Lily had finally told her parents about the performance the night before, and her mom had cried. It had been so long since they'd heard her play. The talent show coordinator, Penny from HR, poked her head into Lily's cubicle around 2 p.m. "Just checking in with all our performers. You're number 12 in the lineup right after the IT department's comedy skit and before the sales team's dance routine." Lily nodded, trying to look more confident than she felt. "Do you know how many people are coming?" "Looks like nearly everyone in the building," Penny said cheerfully, missing how this news made Lily's face pale. "Plus the executive team, of course. Oh, and they're setting up the piano now if you want to check it. It's not the one from the lobby. We rented a baby grand for the event. A different piano." Lily hadn't considered that possibility. As soon as Penny left, she hurried down to the conference room to see the instrument she'd be playing. The space was already being arranged with rows of chairs facing a small stage. In the center of the stage sat a gleaming black baby grand. Lily approached it cautiously, feeling like she was meeting a blind date. Each piano had its own personality, its own touch and sound. She needed to get acquainted with this one before tonight. "Mind if I try it out?" she asked one of the event staff who was arranging chairs. "Go ahead," he said. "Just keep it brief. We need to finish setting up." Lily sat at the bench adjusting its height. She played a few scales, getting a feel for the action of the keys, which was lighter than the lobby piano. The sound was brighter too, more resonant in the large room. She played a few measures of the Rachmaninoff, testing how it would sound in the space. "That sounds pretty serious," the staff member commented as he continued working. "Most people just do karaoke or magic tricks at these things." Lily smiled weakly. "Go big or go home, right?" Back at her desk, the rest of the afternoon crawled by. Ted stopped by around 4:30, looking unusually dressed up in a crisp blue shirt. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," Lily admitted. "I haven't performed in front of an audience in years." Ted leaned against her desk. "Want some advice from someone who used to wrangle 30 teenagers every day? Imagine everyone in their underwear." Lily laughed despite herself. "I think that would make me more uncomfortable, not less." "Fair point." Ted smiled. "Then try this instead. Remember why you're playing. Not for them, not for approval, but for yourself. For the music." His words stayed with Lily as she changed into her dress in the bathroom and touched up her makeup. For the music. Yes, that was why she had started playing again, not to impress anyone, but because she had missed the feeling of connecting with something larger than herself. By 5:45, the conference room was packed. Employees from all departments crowded in, some carrying snacks, others chatting excitedly about which acts they were most looking forward to. Lily slipped in quietly and took a seat in the back row, where she could observe without being noticed. The executive team filed in last, taking seats in the front row. Diana Chen sat in the center, elegant in a red blazer, flanked by other executives Lily had only seen in company-wide meetings or their photos on the website. Penny stepped onto the stage, tapping a microphone. "Welcome everyone to Bright Future Technologies' annual talent show. We have 15 amazing acts for you tonight, showcasing the incredible and often hidden talents of our colleagues." The first few performances were exactly what Lily expected. The head of marketing sang a pop song. Two guys from the development team did a comedy routine. Someone from customer service showed off impressive yo-yo tricks. The audience was supportive, applauding enthusiastically for each act regardless of quality. As act number 11, the IT department's comedy skit about tech support nightmares, took the stage. Lily slipped out to the hallway. Her heart was racing, her palms sweaty. She paced back and forth, going over the piece in her mind, moving her fingers in the air as if playing invisible keys. "Lily Wu?" A staff member with a clipboard appeared. "You're up next. Wait by the side of the stage, please." The IT skit ended to loud laughter and applause. Lily watched from the wings as they took their bows and exited on the opposite side of the stage. Then Penny was at the microphone again. "Our next performer is from the financial analysis department. I'll admit, when I saw what she had planned, I was surprised. This is definitely a departure from our usual talent show fare. Please welcome Lily Wu, who will be playing Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. There was a smattering of confused applause as Lily walked onto the stage. She could hear whispers. Many people clearly surprised that the quiet analyst they passed in the hallways was about to play classical piano. She caught sight of Ted in the third row, giving her an encouraging thumbs up. The spotlight felt hot as Lily sat down at the piano bench. She adjusted it slightly, then placed her hands in her lap, taking a deep breath. The room had fallen completely silent. In the front row, Diana Chen leaned forward slightly, her expression attentive. Lily placed her hands on the keys and closed her eyes for a moment. For the music, she reminded herself. Then she began to play. The opening chords of the Rachmaninoff filled the room, dark, powerful, emotional. Lily felt a familiar sensation wash over her, the rest of the world falling away as her fingers moved across the keys. The piece built gradually, growing in intensity and complexity. She found herself swaying slightly with the music, letting it flow through her body. She had chosen an abridged version of the first movement, about 6 minutes long instead of the full 11. Even so, it contained all the emotional range that had made her fall in love with the piece. Moments of delicate beauty giving way to passionate, thundering sections that required her whole body to perform. As she played the final section, building toward the climax, Lily opened her eyes briefly and was startled by what she saw. The entire room was absolutely still, every face turned toward her with expressions of astonishment. In the front row, Diana Chen sat completely motionless, her eyes fixed on Lily's hands. The final chords resonated through the room, powerful and resolute. Then silence, a silence so complete that Lily could hear her own breathing. For a terrifying moment, she thought she had made a terrible mistake. Had she misread the room? Was classical piano too pretentious for a company talent show? Then Diana Chen stood up. She began to applaud, slowly at first, then with increasing enthusiasm. The rest of the executives followed, rising to their feet. Within seconds, the entire room was standing, the applause growing louder, punctuated by cheers and whistles. Lily sat frozen at the piano bench, overwhelmed by the response. She had expected polite applause at best, maybe a few genuine compliments from people who appreciated classical music. She had never expected a standing ovation. She stood shakily and gave a small bow, her face flushed. As she walked off the stage, she caught sight of Roy standing at the back of the room, applauding with the biggest smile she'd ever seen on his usually serious face. Backstage, Lily leaned against a wall, her heart still racing, but now with exhilaration rather than fear. Performers for the remaining acts congratulated her as they passed, some looking slightly nervous about having to follow her performance. Ted appeared a few minutes later, beaming with pride. "Well," he said, "I think you just redefined the company talent show." Lily laughed, still riding the high of the performance. "I can't believe they liked it that much. It's Rachmaninoff, not exactly top 40 material." "They didn't just like it," Ted said, shaking his head in amazement. "You could have heard a pin drop while you were playing. I've never seen a room full of tech workers that quiet for that long." He glanced toward the stage. "Oh, and by the way, Diana Chen has been asking about you." Before Lily could respond, Penny appeared, looking flustered but excited. "Lily, the CEO wants to meet you after the show. Can you come to the small conference room once all the performances are done?" Lily nodded, a new kind of nervousness taking root. What could Diana Chen possibly want to discuss with her? "Don't look so worried," Ted said after Penny hurried off. "I told you. Show them who you really are and there's no telling how far you could go." Lily barely registered the remaining acts of the talent show. She sat in a daze, still feeling the echo of the music in her fingertips, still hearing the thunderous applause that had followed her performance. Several colleagues she rarely spoke to stopped by her seat to express their amazement. "I had no idea you could play like that," was the common refrain, often followed by, "Where did you learn to do that?" She answered their questions politely but briefly, her mind preoccupied with the upcoming meeting with Diana Chen. What could the CEO possibly want with her? While part of her dared to hope it might be something positive, the practical side of Lily worried that she had somehow crossed a line, drawing too much attention to herself in a way that might seem unprofessional. The final act was a surprisingly good rock band, made up of engineers from the product development team. As they took their final bow and Penny returned to the stage to thank everyone, Ted appeared beside Lily. "Ready for your meeting?" he asked quietly. Lily smoothed her dress nervously. "Not really. Any idea what she wants?" Ted shook his head. "No, but whatever it is, just be yourself." The real yourself, the one I saw on that stage tonight, not the one who hides behind spreadsheets. As the crowd began to disperse, Lily made her way to the small conference room near the executive offices. Through the glass walls, she could see Diana Chen already seated at the table, talking with a man Lily recognized as Victor Zhao, the chief operating officer. They both looked up as she approached, and Diana gestured for her to come in. "Ms. Wu, please join us," Diana said warmly. "That was quite a performance." "Thank you," Lily said, taking a seat across from them. Up close, Diana was even more intimidating, sharp-eyed and poised, radiating the kind of confidence that came from years of making high-stakes decisions. "I don't think you've formally met Victor Zhao, our COO," Diana continued, gesturing to her colleague. Victor extended his hand with a smile. "A pleasure to meet you, especially after that performance. I played piano as a child, but nothing approaching what we heard tonight." Lily shook his hand, trying to appear calmer than she felt. "Thank you, sir." Diana leaned forward slightly. "I've been watching you this past month, Ms. Wu. Ever since our chance encounter in the lobby. Roy tells me you've been practicing every morning at 6 a.m. Lily nodded, surprised that the CEO had been keeping tabs on her. "Yes, I wanted to be prepared." "That kind of dedication is rare," Diana said. "Tell me, how long did you study piano before coming to work here?" Lily hesitated, then decided on honesty. 15 years. I was on track for music school, but life took a different turn. And yet you kept that part of yourself hidden for... How long have you been with the company? Almost 5 years, Lily replied. Diana exchanged a glance with Victor. 5 years in financial analysis, and not once did you mention your background in music or perform at previous talent shows. Why now? The question caught Lily off guard. She considered giving a safe answer about wanting to try something new, but Ted's words echoed in her mind. Be yourself. The real yourself, honestly? I separated those parts of my life on purpose, Lily admitted. I thought being taken seriously as a financial analyst meant not showing other sides of myself. I worried people would see me as less professional if they knew I had once pursued something as impractical as music. To her surprise, Diana nodded with understanding. I faced a similar choice once. Did you know I was a violinist before I founded this company? Studied at a conservatory for 2 years. Lily's eyes widened. The office rumors had been true. I'd heard something like that, but I wasn't sure. It's true, Victor chimed in. In the early days of the company, Diana would sometimes play for potential investors. Quite the negotiation tactic. Diana smiled at the memory. My point is, I never saw my musical training as separate from my business career. Quite the opposite. The discipline, the creativity, the ability to collaborate with others, the comfort with public performance, all of those skills, transferred directly to building this company. She fixed her gaze on Lily. Which brings me to why I wanted to speak with you. Tonight, Lily's heart beat faster. This was it. We're creating a new initiative, Diana continued. A cross-departmental team focused on creative problem-solving and innovation. We need someone who understands the financial side but can also think outside traditional business frameworks. She paused. Your performance tonight demonstrated something important to me, that you have depths and capabilities beyond what's reflected in your current position. Lily struggled to process what she was hearing. Are you offering me a new role? Victor nodded. A leadership role, specifically. The team would report directly to me with significant visibility to the executive committee. But, Lily hesitated. I'm not in management. I've never led a team before. Neither had I until I did, Diana said simply. Leadership isn't just about experience, it's about potential. What I saw on that stage tonight was someone with extraordinary focus, discipline, and emotional intelligence, someone who can speak a universal language that transcends departments and backgrounds. Lily sat back in her chair, overwhelmed. From hiding her musical ability to being offered a leadership position because of it, the turn of events seemed unreal. I don't expect an answer tonight, Diana added, noting Lily's expression. Think about it over the weekend. Victor will send you the formal details tomorrow, but I wanted you to hear the offer directly from me and to understand why we're making it. Thank you, Lily managed to say. I'm honored to be considered. After a few more minutes discussing the general outline of the position, the meeting concluded. Lily walked out of the conference room in a daze, barely noticing the cleaning staff already at work taking down the talent show decorations. She gathered her things from her desk, her mind racing with possibilities. As she headed toward the elevator, she passed the now dark conference room where just an hour earlier she had performed. On impulse, she stepped inside, walking to the spot where the piano had stood. Quite a night, huh? Lily turned to see Roy standing in the doorway, a knowing smile on his face. You could say that, she replied. Did you know Diana Chen asked about me? That she'd been watching me practice? Roy's smile widened. CEO doesn't share her plans with security guards. But I'm not surprised. People like her, they recognize talent when they see it. She offered me a leadership position, Lily said, still not quite believing it herself. Because of my performance tonight, Roy shook his head. Not just because of tonight. Because of who you are. Someone who works hard in the shadows for weeks. Someone who faces their fears. Someone who has more to offer than what's in their job description. He gestured around the empty room. Tonight just put a spotlight on it. On her way out of the building, Lily passed through the lobby and paused by the grand piano that had started it all. She rested her hand lightly on its closed lid, a gesture of gratitude. Outside, the night air felt fresh against her skin. She decided to walk home instead of taking her usual bus, needing time to process everything that had happened. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ted. How did it go with the CEO? Lily typed back, she offered me a leadership role, heading a new creative innovation team. 3 dots appeared immediately, then, what? That's amazing. Told you, play and you'll be CEO. Lily laughed out loud at his reference to his own joking prediction weeks ago. She tucked her phone away and continued walking, her steps lighter than they had been in years. The next morning, instead of going straight to the office, Lily took a detour. She found herself standing outside a small music store she had passed hundreds of times but never entered. Through the window, she could see pianos of various sizes, nothing as grand as the one in the lobby, but beautiful nonetheless. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door. A bell jingled overhead and an older man looked up from behind the counter. Can I help you? He asked. I hope so, Lily replied. I need a piano for my apartment. Something that won't disturb the neighbors too much, but good enough for serious playing. The man smiled. Digital with weighted keys might be your best bet. Mind if I ask what kind of music you play? Classical mostly, Lily said. Rachmaninoff, Chopin, Beethoven. But I think I might branch out. I'm rediscovering some parts of myself I put away for too long. An hour later, she had purchased a high-quality digital piano with headphones, with delivery scheduled for that afternoon. It was an extravagant purchase, but it felt right. A commitment to keeping music in her life no matter what she decided about Diana's offer. At the office, things were different. Word of her meeting with the CEO had somehow spread, and colleagues who had never given her a second glance now stopped by her desk to chat. Ted was practically bursting with pride, telling anyone who would listen that he'd discovered her talent. Around midday, Victor's promised email arrived with details of the new position, Creative Innovation Team Leader. The role description was both exciting and intimidating, leading a team of 6 people from different departments reporting directly to the COO, developing new approaches to the company's most challenging problems. Lily read it twice, then closed her eyes. 6 months ago, she would have dismissed such an opportunity as too risky, too visible, too far outside her comfort zone. But the woman who had sat at that piano last night, who had poured her heart into Rachmaninoff in front of hundreds of colleagues, who had received a standing ovation led by the CEO herself, that woman might be ready for such a challenge. She opened her eyes and began typing a response. Dear Mr. Zhao, I am honored to accept the position of Creative Innovation Team Leader. 6 months flew by in a whirlwind of change for Lily. Her new role as Creative Innovation Team Leader pushed her far outside her comfort zone, but in ways that felt surprisingly natural. The team she led was diverse. A software engineer, a marketing specialist, a product designer, a data scientist, a customer service expert, and a recent hire fresh out of art school. Their mission was to tackle problems from multiple angles, finding solutions that might be overlooked by more traditional approaches. The transition wasn't always smooth. Her first team meeting had been awkward, with everyone unsure of what to expect from the quiet financial analyst who had suddenly been promoted after playing piano at the talent show. There were whispers, of course, suggestions that she had somehow charmed her way into the position, that it was just a publicity stunt by the executive team. Those whispers died down quickly once people saw her in action. Lily brought a unique approach to leadership, the same focus and discipline she had applied to music, combined with the analytical skills she'd honed in finance. She listened more than she spoke, drew out the strengths of each team member, and wasn't afraid to push for excellence. "It's like conducting an orchestra," she explained to Ted over lunch, 3 months into her new role. "Everyone plays a different instrument, contributes something unique. My job is to bring it all together into something harmonious." Ted grinned. "You're different now, you know that? There's a confidence to you that wasn't there before." Lily considered this. "I don't think I'm different. I think I'm just more complete. Like I put down a heavy mask I'd been carrying for years." The digital piano she'd bought for her apartment became an essential part of her routine. She played nearly every evening, sometimes working through challenging classical pieces, other times simply improvising, letting her fingers wander where they would. She'd even begun composing simple melodies of her own, recording them on her phone. But the most significant change was in how she approached problems at work. In her previous role, she had dealt with numbers and projections, clear-cut analyses with right and wrong answers. Now she was tackling messier challenges, questions without obvious solutions. On a particularly challenging day, Lily found herself stuck on a problem involving user engagement with a new product. The data showed people trying the product but abandoning it quickly. Traditional analysis wasn't revealing the underlying issue. Frustrated, she went down to the lobby during lunch and sat at the grand piano. She didn't play, just placed her hands on the keys and closed her eyes, letting her mind quiet. The solution came to her not as words or numbers, but almost as a pattern, a rhythm. The user experience wasn't flowing properly. There were jarring transitions, much like a piece of music with abrupt, unpleasant key changes. She rushed back upstairs and gathered her team. "I think I understand the problem," she explained, sketching out a new approach that treated the user journey like a musical composition, with carefully crafted transitions and a satisfying resolution. The redesign was a success, leading to a 40% increase in user retention. When Diana Chen requested a presentation on how they'd achieve the improvement, Lily took a risk. Instead of a traditional PowerPoint, she created a simple musical piece that represented the user journey. First in its original, jarring form, then in the redesigned, harmonious version. Diana was impressed. "You're bringing a whole new language to how we think about products," she said afterward. "Keep going." 1 year after the talent show that had changed everything, Lily received an unexpected email from Diana, requesting a private meeting the following morning. Despite her growing confidence, Lily still felt a flutter of nerves as she knocked on the CEO's office door. Diana greeted her warmly. "Sit down, Lily. I've been following your team's work closely this past year." "Thank you," Lily said, taking a seat. "It's been challenging but rewarding." "Your results speak for themselves," Diana said, pushing a folder across the desk. "Customer satisfaction up 28% on products your team has touched. Employee engagement improved in every department you've collaborated with. And 3 successful product launches with minimal issues." Lily nodded, still unsure where this was heading. "But what interests me most," Diana continued, "is how you've done it. You've brought something unique to this company, a different way of thinking, a different language almost." She leaned forward. "I want to scale that approach." "Scale it how?" Lily asked. "I'm creating a new division focused on what we're calling harmonic innovation, applying principles from music, art, and other creative fields to business challenges. I want you to lead it as vice president." Lily blinked in surprise. "Vice president? But I've only been in leadership for a year." Diana smiled. "Sometimes the right person appears at the right moment. I'd rather have someone with the right vision who needs to grow into the role than someone with the perfect resume, but limited imagination." "I don't know what to say," Lily admitted. "Say yes," Diana replied simply. "And then tell me, how do we build this? What would you need?" Lily took a deep breath, her mind already racing with possibilities. "I'd need to hire from non-traditional backgrounds. Musicians, artists, dancers, people who understand structure and creativity in different ways. And we'd need a new physical space. Not typical office cubicles, but somewhere that encourages different kinds of thinking." She paused, then added, "And a piano." "Definitely a piano," Diana laughed. "Done. Anything else?" "Time," Lily said. "This won't show results overnight. We'd need runway to develop our methods to prove the concept. You'll have it, Diana promised. I believe in what you're building. So Vice President Wu, are you in? Lily smiled. I'm in. The changes that followed happened rapidly. A section of the 5th floor was completely redesigned into an open, flexible space, filled with natural light, plants, and yes, a beautiful grand piano in the center. Lily hired a team that puzzled traditional HR staff, a composer who had studied mathematics, a former ballet dancer with a background in physics, a jazz musician who had worked in user experience design. 6 months into the experiment, Lily's division had become the most sought-after collaborative partner in the company. Other departments requested their help with thorny problems, and the solutions they developed gained attention throughout the industry. A major business magazine ran a feature titled, "The Symphony of Innovation: How One Tech Company is Rewriting Business Rules with Music." On the 2nd anniversary of the talent show, the company held a special event to showcase the work of Lily's division. The entire company gathered in the largest auditorium they could find, with industry leaders and press invited as well. Diana opened the event with a short speech. 2 years ago, a quiet financial analyst sat down at a piano and played Rachmaninoff. That moment changed not just her career, but the direction of our entire company. She gestured to Lily, sitting in the front row. She showed us that brilliance doesn't always look like we expect it to, and that our greatest strengths might be the things we've been hiding. Lily took the stage to applause, feeling none of the nervousness that had plagued her 2 years earlier. Thank you, Diana. What we're doing in the Harmonic Innovation Division isn't magic, it's simply bringing together parts of ourselves that we've been taught to keep separate. The analytical and the creative, the practical and the passionate. She walked to the piano that had been placed center stage. Today, rather than just telling you about our work, we're going to demonstrate it. She sat down and began to play, and as the music filled the room, members of her team joined her on stage, weaving a presentation that combined music, visual art, data, and storytelling to explain their innovative approach. When it was over, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Among them was Roy, the security guard who had first encouraged Lily to play the lobby piano. Their eyes met across the room, and he gave her a proud nod that brought tears to her eyes. Later, at the reception following the presentation, Lily found a quiet moment with Ted, who had been promoted to head the entire financial analysis department. "Remember when you joked that if I played piano, I might end up as CEO?" she asked him. Ted laughed. "At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised. Diana's been talking about succession planning, you know." Lily shook her head in amazement. "Never in a million years would I have imagined this path." "That's because you were hiding half of who you are," Ted said. "The world only gets to benefit from the gifts we're brave enough to share." As the evening wound down, Lily found herself alone on the stage, sitting once more at the piano. The room was empty now, the audience gone home. She placed her fingers on the keys and began to play. Not Rachmaninoff this time, but a piece she had composed herself, full of all the joy, challenge, and discovery of the past 2 years. From the back of the auditorium, a single person watched, Diana Chen listening intently with a small smile on her face. When Lily finished, Diana walked down to the stage. "Beautiful," she said simply. "Is that yours?" Lily nodded. "Still a work in progress. Aren't we all?" Diana replied. She sat down beside Lily on the bench. "You know, when I started this company, people thought I was crazy to apply musical principles to business. Now it's becoming our competitive edge." "Because it works," Lily said. "Because people are more than their job titles or their degrees. We're complex, multifaceted beings, and when we bring our whole selves to what we do, that's when the magic happens." Diana nodded in agreement. "So VP Wu, what's next for you and your division?" Lily smiled, running her fingers lightly over the keys. "We're just getting started. There's a whole symphony yet to be written,